First of all, thank you all so much for being here. Thank you for Founded in FOCO. This is an amazing opportunity for me. I'm normally the guy that sits behind the computer, and as I've gotten to talk to a bunch of people in my community through different groups, I love getting out from behind that computer, talking with other business owners in the community. It's really nice because, it can get a little tedious hunched over the computer and having to get up and stretch and up and down your stairs, and walking the dog is all you get. But thank you for also everyone else that has been to a presentation of mine before. So just a quick overview. I just want to give you some of my personal background for context. Marketing is an inflated word, and you can come from many different angles. And so I'm going to define marketing by my and my company's processes and tools after that. I want to tell you about the AI tools and a large language model approach that we use within my company, Mirror Marketing. I want to do a quick research process example that I use 3 different AI tools. I want to go through an automation and data transfer basics. I feel like we've all gotten to learn a lot about automation, and went to a great presentation by Becky the other day. And I just want to do a quick overview because I think when people say AI, they're either talking about, in the general context of the general public, they're either talking about large language models or automation. And then an AI implementation and change mindset needed as a leader. This is moving very fast. It can be very scary to incorporate some of these new technologies into your business, especially if you've ever dealt with a CRM. You know that once you implement it, if it doesn't work, if sales hates it, it could be an absolute nightmare and absolutely cost yourself a year, 2 years, who knows how long if you dig too much into it. But AI is a process, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. Then I want to wrap with some resources and maybe some additional ways to use this presentation. I'm going to go through this fairly quickly, but it is the background. In 2003, I was in high school. I was a 3.5 student. I was good in math and science. I got by on reading comprehension. I went to college. You really have to have reading comprehension down. They're going to give you 300 pages, and I had gotten through high school basically with a photographic memory, memorizing the first line of paragraphs, doing a good job of studying, and that was good enough. So I went to college and realized that I had ADHD and that reading large amounts of text was out of the equation for me. It just wasn't going to be in the books. So in 2005, cool little pointer here that they have, I ate some pizza and took a reset. That's not just eat pizza, that is also work at a pizza restaurant. I had to reset because growing up all through high school, I was told I was smart enough, I was going to get good enough grades, and I could be almost anything I wanted. And then I got to college, couldn't do it, so how was I going to pursue anything in life? What's next? So I decided that the 5 senses was a great place to start. If I can just start to explore those, I've always loved all of them and thought it was a great way to try to base your life. So I was a photographer for 2 years. I really enjoyed the study of light, which is what photography means. Then I became a DJ. I really enjoyed the sound aspect of things. The late night party aspect of things wasn't so great for the future career. But I did decide to go to the Conservatory of Recording Arts and Sciences in 2010 for audio engineering. That is a year-long trade school with a mandatory internship afterwards. I really loved it. I got to study sound from mic to output and the music business, the video game audio business. It was a great fit for me. And then, oddly enough, audio signal travels a lot like fiber and coax signals. I was sitting out at a bar restaurant waiting for my table, moving back to Kentucky, and I sat next to a business owner that owned a fiber optic and coax design company with about 300 people. He told me to come in, hired me, and I'm very grateful for that. I spent 2 years there learning how to design fiber optic systems for cities, using mostly calculations done by the computer, so don't give me too much credit. But it was very interesting to work in a company like that in the technology field. But it was in that corporate environment I realized that I didn't want to do it. And so I went to career counseling in 2013. I know there's some career counselors and coaches in here. Good job. We love you. It really gave me a list of things I could be in my life, and I'd never seen that before. One of them talked about business. I went and got a simple certificate from a business college and started my photography business. And then I started a marketing company, had a professional videographer 4 years out of professional college down in Florida, was ready to help me out. He moved from Florida. We became partners. He fell in love, moved away 3 months later. But basically, I learned that videography is very similar to photography. Obviously, you have to learn some things about motion, but I decided to give it a try. I then became a video editor, and in comes YouTube. I did not have to know how to read 300 pages in order to learn something. And so I learned video editing from YouTube. I learned graphic design from YouTube. I learned website design from YouTube. And then I started learning about Audible, and I learned more about research methods. And this is when I felt like I could call me and my company that I started in 2017 a marketing company. Because as far as everyone else out there, if you had an SEO company, you're a marketing company. If you have a social media marketing company, you're a marketing company. If you have a Google Ads company, you're a marketing company. There's all these different companies that call themselves marketing companies, and the people I was making videos for would start sending me emails being like, do you know what this means? Like, they're telling me I need better SERP, better SEO, all this language that was confusing to small business owners, and it really infuriated me. So I had no problem calling myself a marketer if other people were going to do that. I then went into advertising, podcasting, content marketing, email marketing, systems, large language models, which is another new learning blue mark, as those other ones were, and automation. Through all this, I realized that business is about the betterment of your processes. And that is what we're talking about with AI. It's not a one-stop tool that you can go to and solve your problems, but we're talking about finding ways to implement AI into your business processes in small amounts, understanding it, because especially if you're the business owner or in charge of this, you will be responsible for it. And after all, with AI, whether it's business or not, business, more profitable, but to make things easier, that's why we're here. So this is kind of how we do it for continuous marketing improvement at Mirror Marketing. I've been just trying to figure out how you mix data, creativity, brand, everything. And so we go through this loop with business owners, and it really seems to help. We believe in a professional brand. We believe in digital assets. We believe in creating things that are not just one pieces of social media, but that can be used in the process again and again. A video that can be placed in a common email, a video that goes on your homepage, a proposal follow-up that explains your benefits. We believe in creating digital assets that can be reused. We then go and make sure we're on the right channels, do a little bit of that back and forth. We analyze the data, we optimize, propose optimization solutions, and then we communicate with the business owner about what that actually means for the business and for those goals. So, marketing, again, what the heck does that mean? Typically, marketing starts about here. You may get up to request for service, and the sales takes over, and then that's marketing. I thought that was BS. If you have the creative control of a company and you have the ability to put out your professional brand, then that should be covered by marketing. So this is not only the process of the customer experience through advertising, through email response, proposal, follow-up, congratulations, what to expect next, and thank you. These are all also data points within the system. These are all points where you can put in creative digital assets and then measure their performance. So that is how we decided to kind of approach marketing instead of just the regular way. Am I right? Man, it can be super annoying. You all get the emails. You get tons of marketing messages that say, we're the best way to do this. You're doing this wrong. You need to change this. Your website, your social media, your brand, everything. Especially if you're a small business owner, this is extremely intimidating. This is something that feels like it's never going to be achieved. It feels like it's not only a hat, it's a lead weight that's on top of your head just trying to keep up with this. And so I really felt like in order to call myself a marketer, I had to at least put the effort forth to understand what the business and the ideal client of the business was as a whole. Not just what one revenue stream, like how can we get through social media, or how can we use emails to follow up, but trying to implement these things one at a time, test them, and see what's the most important. And the way to overcome all that, data. I just don't know of any other way besides proving a return on investment besides data. And perhaps more than any other field, marketing is one that is hard to calculate. there is a lot that needs to be calculated for your brand, putting messages out there that not only are click here for a sale, but people understanding who you are as a person and what your business does. So a lot of that can be frustrating, especially over the first 5 years of calling myself a marketer. I was just racking my brain, and I still do, because it's imperfect, and we have to have systems communicate with each other. And so there are some things that can automatically be pulled as far as data, and there's some things that we still go grab manually. And this is a process that you can use yourself. If you are stuck with marketing, put start here as a reminder to both you and me. But you can start with this and then go down this checklist, and I think you'll feel like I have something that I can either hand to someone else and say, this is what I need, or you can take it on yourself. But you want to understand clients and services, and then the ideal service goals. A lot of companies will have revenue streams that perhaps are not their favorite revenue streams. Perhaps if they really think about it, it takes too much time to execute. It takes too much manpower to execute something. But for some reason, they're just still pushing it because it brings in revenue. Part of what we like to do is just go through that process with them to make sure we're targeting the right things that will actually help their bottom line. We also want to understand their differentiating factors and unique selling points. Every business should have it. And we'll talk a little bit later about the leader and what I believe the leader's job should be. We help them understand their own customer sales and lifecycle process all the way through retention. And then we want to create systems to gather data to not only prove our return on investment, but to make sure that our relationship stays healthy. Marketable business owner traits. Introspective, we're talking about systems that will be changed. You are going to be making decisions, whether it be AI or not, that you need to look back on yourself. That's why my company is called Mirror Marketing. I like working with business owners who in the morning will look themselves in the face and say, not only is this what's best for my family, but is this what's best for my company, my community, and most importantly, my employees? They have to take pride in their brand. If they don't do perform good work is the last one, but if the company doesn't do good work, marketing's not going to do a damn. If you're going to go ahead and get 1-star reviews, I can't go out there and I'm not going to be the one hired to go try to change Google's mind that you didn't do well. So you have to have a good company and pride in your work as well. The desire to systematize, we are talking about getting better year over year in most businesses, and so you have to be able to understand that there's a cycle and not understand everything that we're doing, but understand the places we're trying to get. Value customer service and perform good work. Super bonus. If the face of the company, the owner of the company is willing to be the face, I think this will be extremely important going into the future. People will talk about, is SEO dead, and the building of a personal brand. It is very important, but it's also a very easy way to connect with your customer if you are showing emotion to a video camera, face-to-face, whatever it is. If you can sit there and get your personality and the image of yourself, it'll portray onto your company, and it'll do wonders for your branding. Is SEO dead? It depends, and no. And for those of you who are wondering what I'm talking about, there's something called generative engine optimization. And that is, I don't even know if it's the official term, it's the one that's being thrown around on the back channels as far as when someone uses AI to find your business. There are going to be some differences because as you've seen on Google, it'll summarize your answer. And so who's going to scroll down on the Google page if they have their answer right there? But the other thing is ChatGPT. How do we optimize for that? But as I said, for a majority of the companies I work with a lot of service-based companies. I work with companies typically from 500,000 to 20 million. 500,000 a year to 20 million in revenue. These companies I work with are trying to typically be the top 5 or 10 in their niche, in their industry. And so they're looking to cover all their bases. I do not believe for people with customers that are over the age of 40, who are heavily search-based for terms like asphalt paving, people are going to be searching asphalt paving driveway. They're not going to be like, what are the composites of asphalt paving? And then we have to convert them into a customer. They're going to type in asphalt paving driveway. So for the majority of companies I work with, and I feel like a majority of the companies out there, search engine optimization is still very legitimate for another couple of years. We will have an entire population of people that are 40 plus that will just probably not adopt AI. A lot of them will over the years, but I think for the next few years we're going to be safe. Let's see how we're doing on time here. We're doing pretty good. Okay, so how I define AI. There's things like robotic and computer setup that, there's a lot of heavy tech talk that's involved, but I think when people throw around the word AI, they're talking about large language models and automation. I do want to note that, of course, within artificial intelligence, you have to have some kind of hardware or computer setup to be able to host everything. There's no just magic place that these things are going to. They're going to a machine. And then, there are going to be robotics down the line that will utilize this AI and perform the actions. But when you hear AI for this stuff, non-weaponry, all that stuff thrown around, we're talking about large language models and automation. So the good stuff, yay, no more what Phil does, whatever. So these are the tools I use quite frequently. These are all in testing. I have used N8N a little bit, and these I use almost every day. Claude and Perplexity are hands down the two that do not leave my second screen, and I will tell you why. Claude with writing, it's very good naturally, but as I will show you here in a little bit, it has a project knowledge base, which also helps you out tremendously as far as your writing style. It's also very good with processes. If you're like, man, I need a sequence for this. For the end of the day, I need my crew to make sure that they clean up the shop. You can start there at Claude. You can have a short conversation with it and get an absolutely killer process that it doesn't need to be fine. You're not going to go make a presentation on it. It's a great process. It takes away time. Perplexity for research. These are all $20, by the way. This is free. These are $20 a month on the plan I'm using. Perplexity for research, it has, besides very simple tasks, since AI takes up more energy than Google search, I still use Google for basic searches, but for any kind of research, I pay the $20 Perplexity fee, and they have a new deep research mode, and I love utilizing that research. Again, I'll show you in a second how I use that. Notebook LM, it's a fantastic resource where you can put in PDFs, audio clips, websites, videos, and it will digest that information and be able to give you notes and answer notes on the information, along with make a podcast, two-person conversation. Automation, N8N is free. If you all saw Maury's presentation on Tuesday, Monday, I do not remember, but Maury Hubin talked about that. It is a great place to just try out automation. Going over that here in a second as far as basics of automation, but I wanted to put these tools out so y'all aren't like, what do you do for that? What do you do for that? I love you guys. Y'all can ask anything you want. Automation, anyways, these three, I'll get ready to explain this in a second, but they are some of the more popular automation platforms. Large language models. Anyone here know ChatGPT, Claude, large language models? Yeah? All right, a lot of heads. All right, so very simple. If you don't know, this isn't going to do enough. But you put a prompt in, and it gives you a response. That's AI and what a lot of people think AI is. So this is a home screen, a shot of my home screen for Claude. I wanted to talk to you about something called project knowledge bases within these large language models. This is essentially a folder which can hold files of different types depending on the program, and it will always reference that when you access it. So what I mean by that is, of course, every program calls it something different, but in Claude, they're called projects. Bless you again. So if we go to projects, you can save a bunch of projects, and they're their own little folder. So here are some that I have: cooking. I have an asphalt company I represent, AI prompting, and then I have my mirror down here, my mirror marketing. And then here's this project knowledge base. It doesn't matter that you can't see what's on here, but it says text, PDF, PDF, text, 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 PDF. And what this all is references that anytime I put a prompt into here, it will access this information before giving me a response. Now, I'm going to go ahead. I had it set up. I have the slide ready. All right, so this is the process that I use quite often for research, but it can also be used just in this first part for writing. But for real quick, what if you had a bunch of authors and writers that you really like their style? Then you have your business core values, and then you have other business information in here. So if you type in then write me a social media description that goes along with this type of image, it can access all of that information about your business and your favorite writing styles in the answer. This is in ChatGPT, this is in Claude, this is also in Perplexity. And how I use that type of thing in research is this. I am going up here to AI prompting. I created a project that is all about prompting. I want better prompts. Because the better the prompt, you don't have to get too detailed, but the better the prompt you put in these things, the better the result. So I created a project with that, which means I can load up the AI prompting project with a bunch of example prompts that I love. So I wanted to ask, what is the search volume for AI for business? I went into Claude and say, write me a better prompt for AI for business. I then went into Perplexity and typed in that prompt and got in deep research and got a very, very long keyword answer report. I used to pay $200 a month for keyword research tools. I'm not saying that this is better. It's pretty damn close. I then took that response and plugged it into Notebook LM, which was that third one. That's the one where you can plug all the resources here in this example, which I should have just created a new one. But you can list your examples here, PDFs, websites, YouTube videos, whatever. And you can get a summary right here. Then you can ask questions, and it will only reference what is in here. It will not go to the internet. It will only reference the sources you give. Not only that, you can hit click to load the conversation, and it will create a two-person dialogue about what is in that project knowledge base. And it's good and getting better. You feel like two real people are talking? This is how I do my research when I'm driving. I go ahead and get a ton of research on the topic. I plug it in there, and if I'm driving, if I'm in the shower, whatever, where I want to be learning, but I can't be hunched over in front of the computer again. This is what I do. Is that a hand? Yeah.
I'm curious, how is this different from custom GPTs?
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I feel like I've dabbled in the world of creating a custom GPT.
Uh-huh.
Like, you can upload all the PDFs and whatever. I feel like you can give it the same stuff.
Mm-hmm. My preference, there's really not a difference in premise as far as I understand. Again, I come from the creative side, not the data side. This is from trial and error. I got rid of my ChatGPT subscription and used Perplexity. Now, of course, they came out with deep research as soon as it came out. So I was like, I guess I'll go back and try out the deep research portion of things. But honestly, it's because I love the answers, the style of Claude's written answers, and I like the outputs of Notebook LM. I mess around with creating custom GPTs, and I just feel like at some points ChatGPT pushes the envelope too much. And not that anything was inferior about their custom GPTs, but I just haven't been able to get the results out of them. And that's even through using the prompt guides and prompting and then going in and doing that. It could be a matter of personal preference, but quality is, I guess, is my answer. Automation stuff I wish I had known. Let's have AI do stuff for us. This is stuff I wish I had known. You even saw this in Maury's class. This is Nate Herc, 6 months of building AI agents without the hype. So it's a sequence of events. I get an email. I want AI to write me a response automatically, and then I want it to pop up, and I just want to say, hey, yeah, that looks good. Hey, your example, and then send it off. This is an example of what people think about when they think of AI automation. But before we understand automation, we want to understand workflows. You may not even need AI in your system. You can go just straight rule-based and use these programs to say, very simple example from Nate, is it more or less than 10? Yes. Choose this tool. No, choose that tool. You don't need to spend a couple cents every time on AI or whatever. But if you want to plug in AI in this sequence, what type of email is this? And it'll go off into a complaint department, a billing department, and a promotional department, depending on that. That's a use of AI powered. So if you're thinking about setting these up, there might be programs through the ones I showed earlier, or sequences that you may not even need AI. Now here is the difference between AI workflow and an AI agent. An AI workflow goes step by step through things, kind of like we were talking about. I'm gonna access the LLM for an answer, then I'm going to send it to Gmail, and I'm going to have it put in the draft folder, and then it's done. That's an AI workflow. An AI agent is when you send one of these models in there, put in the sequence, and they have to decide things. They have to decide which tool to use. They have to decide basically which tool to use. Am I going to access a large language model? And am I going to access a database? Do I need to access a certain set of instructions? And so when you're looking for what automations can I have for my business? You can do some research and just see what examples are out there. That's very helpful to see what uses there are. But keep a list on your phone, especially a place that can be between your phone and your computer. When you think in your business, man, I wish this was automated. Or like, man, this is so boring. Or even if you see your employees doing it, it's just like data entry. Like, I'm sorry if you love it, good for you. But man, it's not fun. And so you can tell, I'm like, how do I get the data over there without putting it in myself? So you start a list, and then when you have time to sit down and think about these things, you can either try to find someone else to help you create them, but try to just do like a simple workflow. Be like, what are the steps involved in getting from here to there? Once you do a couple of those, you will see that these programs aren't that complicated in theory. It's just now about plugging the different items into these automations. So I highly encourage you sketch some out, use a program for it, a mind mapping program or something, and look at that. But in answering that, come on, slides. It was a big moment. I'm starting a new company. It's called Business Evolution AI, and the purpose behind it is to help business owners. But we're going to do it through a podcast and through education first only. This is not going to be any kind of profit-making venture yet. We're eventually going to put on seminars and classes. We're going to start in Fort Collins here locally. I'm also going to do it online. But we're very excited to kind of dive into all of the business news and topics that will be affecting small and large businesses. So please send me an email. I've got the registered domain, but we're still working on everything else for that. We're still working on branding, but we're very excited about that. I'm building out my team now. I got to get this thing off of here. What is going on? Can't Apple just build a timer that's not gigantic? I had to get a third-party app. Anybody else have that problem? All right, so again, I'll have these slides available, but these are just my most helpful resources. For automation builds, again, Nate Herc. There is another channel here called AI Foundations that was helpful. For automation strategy, this guy is really good at breaking down concepts. There's this for modern thoughtful marketing. He is very much understanding of what's happening with AI, but he also is very practical and knows that things don't go away overnight and that people that are popping up on your social media are scary. And you shouldn't be scared. People aren't going to change their habits overnight. No big deal. So this one is a channel. It's Tom Bilyeu. He goes beyond AI, but I like how he talks about AI's implication within our world. This talk just came out. It's from the CEO of Claude, which is saying that by within 1 year, 99% of all coding will be done by computers, which was a massive shock to everyone in that space. This one talks about Connor Grinnan, I believe is how you say it. He's a professor that talks about what AI means for leaders and change within the workspace, what that means for workers in general, but really dives into the business side. Control, it's just the newest DeepSeek that is absolutely crazy. That's honestly just to see where is AI and what are its maximum capabilities right now. And then these are people that I follow on LinkedIn. Lisa Adams, she's a CMO, a chief marketing officer that will put all of her testing through ChatGPT, Claude. She will run through actual demos in her feed and posts all the time. Allie K. Miller, she just is really thoughtful with where she's thinking the industry is going as far as AI. Andres, I love what he posts with his company. He's here local. And then as far as just regular AI news, these are the two. Matt Wolf, he keeps up with the new, they're both kind of newsy segments. But if you look through and you see your pictures where these also have paid communities if they have a star next to those. Non-AI tools, I get asked about those too. I use Affinity Designer and Canva. I am not ashamed to say that I am a professional and I use Canva. It makes the process so much easier of just producing stuff. But I still use Affinity Designer for complex things. Video editing, I use DaVinci Resolve. I think they still have it. Absolutely incredible video editing program for free. They have a pro version that you do not need. Pexabay, just for general pictures, it's the cheapest stock photo site out there, and usually you'll get the job done, especially if I'm doing extra editing. If anybody has an Adobe Lightroom replacement, I'm trying to get everything. What is it?
Dark table.
Thank you. Adobe Lightroom, I'm trying to get off all Lightroom, or all Adobe products. Thank you, sir.
Because of cost?
Because of cost, and yes.
Updates are slow.
The first of all is the cost, but second of all, they came out with a contract like 6 months ago, basically saying we can use anything you make on here for our training models. And so even if they took it back, I'm not going back. Like I hate the subscription model. They make me sign up for a year to get any kind of discount. Good to go. Thank you. And then VectEasy is another site that has some stock photo and assets as well. Thank you very much. Again, that is my LinkedIn. Feel free to email me. Feel free to message me on LinkedIn. We'll be sending out a newsletter, and a podcast will be the first thing for Business Evolution AI. Beyond that, we'll look to set up some training courses of some sort, but by the end of the summer. But if you have any questions, please reach out, because I love this stuff. Thank you all so much.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Hi.
Just want to get close.
Here in Fort Collins. Yeah. Originally from Kentucky, chased her up to New York for a couple of years, and then we moved out here. No excuses not to get a hold of me.